Welcome to Geek on Film with your hosts, Robbie Holmes and John Hosch. Hey there, folks. Welcome aboard episode 25 of Geek on Film. I'm Robbie.
Hey guys, I'm John. Welcome aboard. As my co-pilot captain has said, my podcast captain.
Please
Captain,
keep your
my
hands
captain.
and legs inside the cabin. We've got tons and tons to go over this week, which is really surprising. I didn't think I was going to have this much, but the last 3 days, I was able to sort of take a breath and just relax and watch a bunch of stuff. But
Nice.
Our main review this week is going to be of M3GAN. So let's start it off with some television. John, why don't you kick us off with Velma? I've heard mixed things, so I'd love to hear what your impression is of the first two episodes.
Yeah, so on HBO Max, they're doing a new animated. Well, I guess they're all. Well, no, there's some live action. The movies were live action, but they're doing a new animated version of Scooby Doo, but this time focusing on the character of Velma, hence the name Velma, and Mindy Kaling is voicing Velma. She's also an executive producer on the show. And 2 episodes have come out. And this is much like the Harley Quinn show. This is geared towards adults.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting a lot of hate on both sides. So I think conservatives are like, this is too woke, and then non-conservatives are like, this is just a bastardization of the Scooby-Doo characters, and it's very problematic and it's crass, and I'm kind of in the middle of it.
Okay.
I was never a big fan of Scooby-Doo in general. Like growing up, like that was not one of my favorite cartoons to watch. So I'm not like partial to these characters. They've diversified the cast, which I think is very cool. But yeah, there's a lot that I enjoyed about it. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is the Harley show on HBO Max, because it's again another adult cartoon, and I feel like they were trying to kind of like steal some of that glory of Harley, where it was like, oh, we can have these characters say fuck, and we can talk about adult themes and all this other things. When Harley does it, it's very successful, and I think that they do stray from the character descriptions and of like the Batman villains and Harley. But it kind of works, whereas like they're really pushing these characters to not be like the Scooby-Doo characters that we know.
Uh-huh.
And
and Harley Quinn is super successful. It actually won the Critics' Choice last night.
Yeah. It's because it's also trying to tell it, as it has something to say. The thing with me and Velma is it's only 2 episodes out, and I'm willing to stick with it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But these first 2 episodes, I feel like they were trying to really punch you in the face and be like, this is what this show is going to be. And we're, so, and everyone's like, Velma hates solving mysteries. Well, yes, but also this is like, there is a reason why she's like fearful of solving mysteries based on her past. And they talk about that in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, yeah, this is going to be her journey into finding that passion again, because there is a killer on the loose in the high school who's like sucking the brains out of popular girls. And
like you do,
Yeah. So and Fred has been pinpointed as the murderer. So
can't trust anybody in an ascot. So
yeah. The funny thing is, his family fortune is about men's fashion. in the
Perfect.
show. Like there's things like that, which I think are very charming and very interesting and very cute. There also is, I'm seeing a lot of comments, and I have to agree with it. Where it's very interesting that Mindy Kaling is consistently involved or creating even characters where they're South Asian descent, and they're just vying for the love of cis white male cis
Mhm.
white males. It's interesting, and because they have diversified this show, it's yet another example of that.
Mm.
So I'm a little conflicted there too. But I'm willing to kind of keep going with it for a couple more episodes. I do recognize the problems with it, and I want to make sure that the problem or the I don't know if the good points will outweigh the bad points, but we'll see.
I'm going to talk about something that was very subtle in its approach to the show, as opposed to what you just talked about. Is in trouble. Starts off, and so it starts where it starts off as one type of story and ends as a completely different story.
Mm.
And the big question for me at the very beginning is why cast Claire Danes? If you watch the first 4 episodes, you get so little of her.
Hmm.
But then you turn the corner, and episodes 5 through 8 are just there's so much Claire Danes, and honestly, I'd be very surprised if she doesn't get nominated for Best Supporting Actress in a limited series. She's so good in this. And honestly, I think the show is one of the most well thought out, well conceived like ensemble shows. I know it's based on a book, but boy, the ensemble they pulled together to play the 4 main characters of Jesse Eisenberg, Claire Danes, Lizzie Kaplan, and Adam Brody is pretty unbelievable.
Mm.
You deeply believe the friendships between Toby, played by Jesse, Libby, played by Lizzie, and Seth, played by Adam. They like went together to Israel. They went to college together. You get these deep seated, I've known you forever and know who you are in your soul. And Claire Danes is playing Rachel is sort of on the outside of that the whole time. And that's the dichotomy of the show that you really end up with is like you spend time with this trio and then supporting one another, sometimes frustrated with one another as friends are.
Hmm.
And then you get the sort of story of how Rachel was a part of Toby's life. And it's just an unbelievable story. And I think Claire Danes she's so powerful in what she does in this show.
Cool.
It's and the finale lands. It's one of the best finales I've seen in a long time. As opposed to like where I felt like White Lotus sort of petered out at the end. The penultimate episode I felt it was better than the
Hmm.
finale. I feel like in this case, the finale is everything you want it to be, and sort of has emotional catharsis for almost all of the characters, which is pretty unbelievable.
Wow. Is there talk of continuing this? Is this going to turn into like a one season situation?
I think it's based on a book, and I think that's it. I think the book's done.
Oh, right
So
on.
I'm really excited that it sort of is this self-contained little nugget of goodness. It's
Yeah.
really powerful.
It's that's something that American television doesn't do that often. But I think it's a growing trend. We're kind of taking that on from our folks across the pond
Yeah.
from, where it's like the BBC just does like one season and that's all we need.
Yep. It seems like you jumped back in time, my friend. So let's talk a little bit about GI Joe.
Yeah, man, I had a long week and didn't have a lot of mental bandwidth for exploring new shows or exploring new movies and things like that. So I really just needed some nostalgia from the good old days of my childhood. Did you collect GI Joes? Like, did you collect action figures?
Yeah. I was a GI Joe, Transformers, GoBots, Hot Wheels.
Nice,
Yeah, I was that kid for sure. He
nice,
Man. Like I had Eternia. Like I
nice.
had Castle Grayskull. I had
Hmm.
all of it.
Yeah, and and with all those toys came the TV shows, and GI Joe: Real American Hero was one of my favorites growing up. And I don't know if people know this, but if you're like me and you want to revisit those, Hasbro's YouTube page They do two things. They have playlists of the entire first season and second season that you can watch for free. And then they do this thing where like they just live stream on a loop 24/7 the episodes of GI Joe, which I think is very cool in the sense that like um it gives me that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm running late from school. I have to catch GI Joe after school, and you just turn it on, and it's like you can't rewind. It's a live stream, so it's like you have to come in where it comes in. So you kind of just start the episode where where it's at. And I don't know, there's a really nice feeling about that. And like I know people talk about the cartoons of the 80s just being commercials. And yeah, they were, but they also like there were artists involved and there were writers who probably, would hopefully cared about what they were writing and voice actors who were incredible. And as I'm watching this week, I'm like, these are just like mini 80s action movies for kids,
Yeah.
you know? And yes, they put the PSAs at the end to like cover their asses, it's like to be like, well, look, they're not all that violent, but like kids, I mean, I turned out okay. Like watching
Well,
these,
they also trained us. I think that's what you're hitting on that you may not even be realizing is they trained us to look for and to really accept sort of action adventure movies, right? Like
yeah,
they primed us for all of like Schwarzenegger and Stallone
totally.
and Van Damme, right? Like those cartoons were really like priming the pump for us as kids to
Yeah,
be excited by those, like sort of popcorny action films, and
totally.
it's interesting to think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, and there's like the production value is like great. Like, these are very interesting stories. They like a lot of times like, like we meet like the family of GI Joe characters or they'll be in plain clothes, which I thought was always the coolest part about the show is like, yeah, you get there a lot of times they're like in the costume that you buy the action figure with. But on the TV show, like they're like, yeah, I'm not working right now, so I'm wearing normal clothes. Or um and also I thought that the like they're scored like movies. Like
Mm.
there's like it's like full orchestrations to these things and they're like they bring you right back. And I really think that growing up watching especially GI Joe really gave me an appreciation for it. Like you're saying, like GI Joe was a like the show was a primer for like uh Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone movies, but also like there's a lot of sci-fi and adventure elements in this. So like they were like just like
I mean,
26.
Serpentor, right? Like,
Yeah, but
you get to some a little bit like Deathstroke. Like there's some characters that are questionable as to whether or not they could be real. So they sort of
sure.
expand your mind a little bit too.
Yeah. And I think like not only were those a primer of that, but also like I feel like the music was like like primers for like loving people like John Williams
Mm.
and all the other great like composers of film. Like the orchestrations are so good in these cartoons. And yeah, they're just like really insane stories and they're just really fun to watch. And it's kind of just fun to like go back in time and just kind of like watch them as an adult, but like still get that like fun feeling of being a kid. So I mean, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. And if you want to, anyone who's listening who watch the kid or watch that show as a kid, go check out Hasbro's YouTube page.
That's awesome. I will talk about probably one of the most depressing shows I've seen in a very long time. George and Tammy is fantastic.
Hmm.
It was my wife was really into it, really wanted to watch it. I was not as enthused to start it off, but the more I watched it, the more I was brought into the story. You don't need to know the characters. It is well written. It's about broken people. And honestly, if Michael Shannon isn't nominated and doesn't win for best actor for a limited series, I would be very surprised.
Wow.
He is an un he Jessica Chastain is fantastic as Tammy, but Michael Shannon, in my opinion, episodes 7 and 8 are just some of the most heartbreaking. Um, he he's so broken as a character, and you believe every moment of it. There's a great sequence where a friend of his is has become more religious and is left behind sort of the life that they used to live, and he goes to pray, and he's like, "Pray with me," and he's like, "God doesn't want me," and like that you've hit rock bottom when your closest friend is trying to pray for your soul and you've given up on even God thinking you are worth it. Like, he's so sad in that moment, and the whole episode 6, 7, and 8 are all like just a giant showcase for Michael Shannon.
Wow.
Jessica Chastain's great, but boy, it's like they were like, we need all kinds of Emmy like clips, so give us everything.
Mhm.
It's
Cool.
fantastic. You need to know going in, like, you should prime something after it that is exciting or fun or will relieve the tension, because it never lets up.
How
There's
many
no moment where they're happy.
how many episodes is in this season? Do you know? Like,
Eight
is it?
episodes.
Oh, so you finished it,
Yeah, it's done.
and It ends very
It ends where it's inevitably going
solemnly.
to end.
Right on.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's based on the book written by Georgette, their daughter.
Hmm.
So I think the book is called The Three of Us, or something like that. And it's written from her perspective. So you can feel the tension of her character also, with her father, with the world, with everything that's going on.
Oh
And I
wow.
think she gets a good chance because Georgette is finally an adult by the 6th or 7th episode. So you get to see a little more, I think, of how she felt about things that we've seen the perspective why through the way the book has been written, but you
Hmm.
finally get to see the character a little bit in place, and how broken and sad she is about all of it. There's a great moment where basically he calls her baby and things like that, and she constantly bristles. And he says to Tammy, like, she hates me, and she's like, she doesn't know you. Like, you weren't there for her wedding, you weren't there for the birth of her kids, you weren't there for the divorce, you weren't, like, if she got to know you and you got to know her, I think it'd be great. And he tries to comfort her when Tammy's really sick, and she's mad at him, and then very quickly, after about 5 minutes, she's like, "Daddy, help her." Like, and you see the sad broken component of it, like, this is her dad, like, and he was never
Hmm.
there for her, but she knows that he loves her mom, like, as much. So there's a lot of that, like the pining of love, and the adoration that George has for Tammy is evident throughout every scene. And I think Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain have this unbelievable chemistry. They have a softness when they look at one another, when they talk to one another, and a harshness when they're mad at one another that feels really biting and true. So yeah, I think I would be very surprised if it's not nominated for a lot of Emmys.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then the thing that everyone is talking about finally premiered yesterday at time of recording
Hmm.
on HBO and HBO Max, or is this just an HBO Max thing?
I think it's an HBO series, but it's streaming on HBO Max. I think it's that
Gotcha.
sort of
It's hard
delineation.
to keep. I
Well,
mean,
it's
yeah.
considered an HBO original, so it has that
Gotcha. Okay.
prestige component. Yeah.
Gotcha. Is what we're talking about is The Last of Us, based on the hit video game, starring Pedro Pascal. Yeah. This is
And Bella
uh,
Ramsey
yeah,
as Ellie. Yeah.
right. I'm sure that this is going to get compared to Walking Dead a lot, but it is
Yes.
very different,
Yes.
albeit that it is a nihilistic future where society has been crumbling, um, because it is a something is happening to people. Whereas in Walking Dead, it's zombies. It's kind of zombies, but it is not an unknown something or other as it is in Walking Dead. This is based on a fungal infection,
Mhm.
as it were, where it turns people um, into kind of zombie-like creatures, which is interesting because it's also kind of based on real life situations where, um, fungus kind of infect insects and start manipulating their brains to keep so they keep functioning. They don't even know that they're infected, and um, yeah. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
I will say I played The Last of Us probably about the first 4 or 5 hours,
Mhm.
and I'm finding myself constantly in the comparison mode. I can't wait
Yeah,
till I get
sure.
past the aspects I've played. The
Mhm.
Last of Us is a game that is you can say whatever you want. It was a relatively complicated, straightforward game, but difficult mechanics.
Oh my
Um,
god, so difficult.
there are some sequences like literally they show at the end of the season, the end of the first episode, they show the buildings where you first meet the clickers.
Mhm.
And as they started walking towards that, I looked at my wife and I was like, this is one of the most frustrating aspects of this game, because
Yeah.
that first time you meet the clickers is so you have so much to learn about how to live in this world and how to survive. And that is one of the most brutal, like, training montages, in my opinion. It's not at the beginning of the game. You're about an hour in, and boy, it crushed my soul the first time I played the game.
It is the
Trying to get through, that area.
um it's the reason I stopped playing the game.
Yeah.
I was like,
I also
I
gave up
don't.
because
Yeah.
it made me angry. The game,
Yeah.
yeah,
There are games. I know we're talking about a game right now, but we will eventually get back to the first episode of the TV show. But there are.
but it's a good thing that we're talking about the game because they've done such an amazing adaptation,
Yes.
and also slight tweaks to the story to make it a little more cinematic. Just a note, like the game drops you into a world where everything is happening, and it's keep up, and we'll tell you a little bit of information the longer we go.
Yes.
The show is taking a slightly slower pace,
Hmm.
not much, but like it does give you a little bit of like 1960s backstory about the possibility of how this could happen, which is not in the game. And then you get to the 2003 time period, and that is a little bit extended. You spend a little more time with his daughter, with
Hmm.
Joel's daughter, and you spend a little more time in the world and see it unfold a little bit more.
But then they yeah, and I think this yeah. I mean, we can yes, and then all of a sudden they pretty much just reenact the prologue of the video game, and I was blown away. I was like, wait a minute, this feels like it's like shot for shot
Yeah.
what I experienced when I was playing the beginning of the game,
Yep.
and that was really impressive. I feel like yeah, there are set pieces that I have played in the game that are already show up in the first episode, and I really yeah I appreciate that that attention to detail and the fact that they're like yeah we're gonna use the story of the game and expand upon it versus like oh you know we're gonna do what we want to do.
Yep.
um uh yeah like one of like it's interesting and I guess because you want to make it because it is not a video game, it's a television show. the the infection's not spore based, it seems, because there's a
Yep.
lot of gas mask wearing in the video game.
Yep.
And I think that's also like part of video games is like you can have faceless opponents and stuff like that, you know. So it's not spore based, and like the people who are infected. I guess you say infected when it comes to fungal. Yeah,
I
fungal
think it has
infection.
to be an infection. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're infected by this fungus, like you get these like really creepy tendrils that come out of your mouth to infect other people. So hence it's also like a zombie bite, as it were.
Yep.
I thought that was a really interesting aspect.
Yeah, I
Um,
so far any augmentation they've made to the story, I feel like has made the story as strong or stronger. I think
mhm.
there's a really beautiful aspect of breaking your heart the same way that the opening of the game, the prologue of the game, is one of the most destructive 20 minutes of any, like, most moving video game openings I've ever been a part of. And I
Yeah.
mean, I joked with Amy last night. I have the words "Would you kindly" tattooed on my leg, and I swear, if this game had come out a couple of years earlier, I probably would have had like Into the Dark. Watch, the Fireflies
Hmm.
logos would have probably been tattooed on me. Like,
Mm.
this game is crazy. Like, it's moving, powerful, and unbelievably well written for
Yeah.
what feels like such a simple story.
Um, Yeah, and I'm excited to see kind of like where this goes. Um, so for me, however, the show, once you kind of finish the prologue section of the show, to me it takes a dip when it
Hmm.
jumps in time, and you're like, like the prologue to me was like just like blew me away,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden when
I
it
mean, it's an
jumps in time,
11. It's like an 11. Like it's
yeah,
one of the best 20 minutes of television.
yeah, and once it jumps in time to like this is welcome to what you're getting for the rest of the season kind of thing,
Yep.
I was a little disappointed, to be honest.
I was not, only because I had not looked at the casting, and I was so excited when I realized that Tess was being played by Anna Torv. I was like, oh my God, Pedro Pascal and Anna Torv are going to
Mm-hmm.
be my shepherds into this universe.
Mm-hmm.
Made me really excited. And also, I just think the actress who plays Marlene, Merle Dandridge, is the voice actress who voiced Marlene. So it's super exciting that she got a chance to actually come to the screen and play this character.
Is Marlene the young girl?
No, it's the
Okay,
woman
I
who
was gonna.
leads the Fireflies.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Cool, 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 cool. Because I was like, I was,
No,
yeah, um, yeah. I mean, I'll see. Yeah. I just think that the prologue blew me away so much that like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's got a. It's
it's gonna
definitely
take a
gonna,
lot.
in order to match that level of storytelling and epic, like shot for shotness that really broke us when we played the video game the first time. This show is really. I can't wait till we get inside the building and meet the clickers for the first time, because that feels, again, pretty epic. And from the trailers and everything I've seen, it feels like it has that same tone and tenor that the game had. I think I'm really excited to get past the aspects where I know what's going on, because I feel like
Mm.
that is constantly all I'm doing right now, is just this sort of like ticking boxes and saying like, well, that's different. Why? Like, I want to just fall into the world and be a part of it.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting in kind of in so far. Um, we've only seen people who have been recently infected, so the fungus has not taken over their body a lot until you get a little farther down into the episode. But these like blood hungry, raving, crazy quote unquote zombies or clickers. I thought it was very cool. Like they run at like breakneck speed and they're like bashing through doors, and it's very scary and intense. So I thought that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing Nick Offerman show up.
Yeah.
Um, and I just super shout out to the actress Nico Parker, who
Yeah.
plays Sarah Miller, who is Pedro Pascal's daughter. She does such heavy lifting in this episode
Yes.
to her detriment. Um, and I say that in the sense that she so she does such an amazing job of us falling in love with her as a character so quickly,
Yep.
um, that I it's I I think it's I think what she did in I'm trying to like talk
Yeah.
around things here, but what she did in like 10 minutes, um, it's gonna take Bella Ramsey, who is like,
Episodes to
yeah,
cover.
a season, I think.
Yeah.
Like so Bella Ramsey is kind of the character that Pedro Pascal kind of like, it's a lone wolf and cub scenario again,
Yep.
like the Mandalorian and all this other things. Um, but he's like on a journey. He's on a hero's journey to protect Bella Ramsey's character, Ellie Williams.
Yep.
Um, she's like super. I remember her in the video game being much more likable right away. She's really intense, and I'm not dissing her, but like they have written her to be, I think, much more kind of
She's got
like,
a lot of pluck, is the way I would put it. Like,
yeah,
she's got real defensive armor on, really not as vulnerable as I think she was in the video game, for sure.
yes, which. Yeah, I feel like Bella Ramsey is taking a little bit of that Game of Thrones energy that she had,
Yes.
where she was like the most badass child queen, um, and is kind of inserting it into this. Um, so I look forward to seeing the other side of her, hopefully down the line in a couple episodes. You know.
Yeah, Lyanna Mormont was probably one of the most badass characters in all of Game of Thrones. So
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what Bella Ramsey does with this. I'm on board. I will watch this entire first season,
Yeah.
just based on the feelings that the opening 20 minutes gave me. Again,
Hmm.
I am hopeful that the show lands and is as moving as I think it could be. I am with you. I don't think that the post prologue made me feel as moved as the prologue did.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some films, my friend. I watched a bunch of films. I was
Yes, you
flying.
did.
I was flying, so I was on planes, and I was able to catch a couple. I think I will start off by saying, of all the films I watched, I think I had a very meh experience most of the way. The first one I watched was See How They Run. I think a unbelievable cast. I kept smiling at the movie. It's Saoirse Ronan and just the entire cast is unbelievable. But she just
Mhm.
kept making me laugh. She's so
Yeah.
funny as the sort of presumptuous, up and coming policewoman who constantly jumps to conclusions. It's just a fun movie. I don't know why people were so mad about it. I think they were more mad about the crazy cast and what the film that it didn't turn into this like epic like movie that everybody's going to talk about forever. It was a very solid like 3-star movie for me. I enjoyed it. I smiled a lot. There's really fun moments, but yeah, it's a good murder mystery film.
Yeah. I forget what episode I brought this episode or this movie up in, but it was one of our earlier ones. I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a good experience in the seeing it in the theater. And I think with murder mysteries, it's much better to see them in theater, so you're like kind of locked in.
You mean
Um,
not on like a 6-inch screen on the back of, on a tablet on a plane?
well, on
Uh,
a plane, you're locked in too.
I
So
was, yeah.
yeah.
The cast was great. There's no like I one big shout out for me is anytime Ruth Wilson is in something, I'm on board. Like
Hmm.
she's fantastic, and she always steals every scene she's in. So, but Adrian Brody is really fun in this movie.
Yes, he
I
is.
think
Yeah.
he's just so silly every time he's on screen. I find myself just grinning for no good. Like he's just playing this sort of slimy jerk, but he's so charming, and Sam Rockwell's great. He plays the sort of curmudgeon-y detective. He's fun.
Yeah, he's a
No,
drunk.
yeah, but nothing bad to say about this movie. There were so many people who were so angry about it. I don't understand.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
I was not aware of that. Um, yeah. Uh, cool.
some
That's
more
awesome.
Jessica Chastain. I watched The Good Nurse. Again,
Yeah.
another movie that people were really angry about. I don't understand it. This is a pretty solid 3.5 star movie. Eddie Redmayne is unbelievable as this sort of like soft spoken, questionable nurse. And Jessica Chastain is playing very. She has a heart condition, so she's playing the movie a lot very soft.
Yeah.
You can feel her pulling back through the character that she's playing. So I don't know that it's a strongest Jessica Chastain performance, but she feels vulnerable, and he feels like a very questionable human being. And at the end, you get to the final reveal. You get these like the explanation of who and what happened and all this stuff. And I was just like, it was like a gut punch. Like the movie is well done, tells the story really well. I don't know why people were so angry about this. I
Well,
think his
I think
performance is
it's
really great.
well, if you're basing it off of performances, that's fine. Yeah, like they're very good performances, but also uh, there's no twists or there's no peaks and valleys. It's a pretty much straight out. I mean, spoiler alert, they pretty much tell you the ending in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
there's nothing that happens to make you question it. You're like, yeah, fucking yes, this is yes. Am I take like if anything, it's like get to the point. Yes, we all know the ending here. Um, and I think also I think the thing that like I would not I would like if we're doing a rating system, I would maybe give it a 3, not a 3.5, because yeah, it's like a very like oppressed like these people are like they're nurses and it's fucking hard. My mom was a nurse and she worked late fucking hours, you know, and you're dealing with like, you know, cleaning patients and taking care of them and you are a caregiver and it's like it's hard fucking work. And I think the tone the the color palette of the movie is very bland and I think they
Yes.
did that on purpose and I think it was also like people like, you know, just kind of like, oh, it's so oppressive, you know, like Jessica Chastain, for example, not to kind of only talk about her looks because she is incredibly good in this movie, acting wise, but she has striking red hair.
Yes.
And like in this movie, they reduce all the saturation from the movie, so
Yep.
it's like borderline black and white, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah, it's
um,
very muddy for sure.
yeah.
The color palette is very muted.
So like yeah, so like I think when you that I feel like they were trying to like kind of enhance the tone and feel of the movie. Uh, and then I wonder if that just like turns some people off and they're just like, oh God, what a slog.
Yeah.
I want to watch a movie about nurses, but I don't want to feel like I'm a nurse kind of thing. But again, like this I think this came out on Netflix a couple months ago and my wife
Yep.
and I watched it. Yeah, we enjoyed it. And I'm just yeah, I'm trying to like just like figure out why people would
Yeah, it was a pretty
hate on
solid
it.
middle of the road film, right? Like you know, an adult film, adult drama. It's sort of it calls its shot at the very beginning, never really deviates from it. I think you're right. I think Eddie Redmayne gets a chance to really live in this character. We spend a lot of time with him,
Mm.
um, but we never get motivation, which I think is the other reason that sort of really frustrated people. I think
But also, this is based on a true story.
yeah, the true
So
story it's based on, you never really get motivation either.
yeah.
So it's a tough movie to recommend only because like I came out of it like I don't know why everybody's mad, but I don't
Mm.
know that I loved it. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
I think his performance near the end, especially when he's being questioned, is pretty powerful. Which is why I think that last 10 minutes of him being, you know, questioned is probably why he's gotten a couple of nominations at Critics' Choice Awards,
Oh.
at Critics Awards ceremonies.
Mm.
But he's good. He's good. She's good. It's good. Like that's the way I walked away from the film. Like I don't know why everybody was mad. I guess
Mm.
people just wanted a better movie.
Yeah, sure.
It was fine. It was fine.
They made a movie.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
hard.
It is. Our friends over at Slash Film always say that at the end of every movie, of every review. It's like, and isn't it amazing that this person made a movie? It's true. There's a lot that goes into making a movie, even one that feels as like intimate as this, right? Like there's
They
multiple
can't all be
locations.
Terrifier 2. Let's just say that, okay?
Thank God.
Like,
Let's jump over to Confess Fletch. Did you get a chance to ever watch this?
no, I have not had a chance to watch this, although being a big John Han fan, Ham fan, I should be kicking myself. I love ham too.
You're a ham stan.
Ham, is that what it is? Is that what they call themselves?
I think anybody who's like a big fan of something, it becomes a stan.
I love
So
ham
this is
sandwiches, glazed ham.
Greg Matola taking on the sort of the Fletch world. He writes it with a couple of other people. It's based on the novels by Gregory MacDonald. Greg Matola gets to direct this, and it just feels like everybody's having a good time. I feel like John Hamm is just floating through this movie. I've never seen him look more comfortable, more at ease playing a character. He's kind of a dum dum who's also kind of smart. It plays
A
perfectly.
himbo as or
Yeah,
no?
it plays perfectly into the characters he's played in the past. It reminds me a lot of like an elevated version of who he was in 30 Rock. It's just
Yeah,
so fun, you
or
know?
like his character in Bridesmaid.
Yes, totally.
Gotcha.
It's a blast. I think my big shout out would probably be Aiden Mayri, who plays Grizz. She's one of the detectives. He has really great chemistry messing with her. He constantly is just like, hey, why don't you get me a soda? He's constantly like playing with her and catches her like following him, and she's just so disgusted and annoyed with this handsome man all the time. It just feels like it's against type also, because she's a beautiful woman, he's this handsome guy, and she just detests him from the moment she meets him. So there's this really fun chemistry of him trying to like win her over, but also
Mm.
poke her all the time and really irritate her. And some of those sequences, they're seconds worth of dialogue, and they made me giggle every time. Again, another 3.5 star movie, I think. This is fun. We should
Do you think
send
they're going to make
adults.
more of these?
I really hope they will. I think
Yeah.
it did what they were trying to accomplish. I can't
Mm.
think that this movie cost that much to make. It also had
Mm.
Kyle MacLachlan playing a art dealer, and he's so great at this point in his
Cool.
career, playing
Yeah.
this sort of uptight. He hates. He's a germaphobe, and so you get like handsome Kyle MacLachlan with like pristine white hair, and like every time he goes near anything, he's like sanitizing his hands. But he has
Mm.
this like frenetic energy of like, I can't, humans suck, stop touching me. But he's also constantly charming. It's really fun. It's such a blast of a movie. I think it is not a 5 star film. It's not going to win a ton of awards. Boy, I am happy to like make some popcorn and spend 2 hours with Fletch.
Yeah, I mean, I was not. I'm not a big Chevy Chase fan per
Yep.
se, and when the other Fletch movies came out, I think I was too young.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean, if this is a franchise that John Hamm can kind of latch on to,
Yep.
I mean, give me more
Yeah.
ham, please, more ham
Um,
on too.
there's
Come on, man.
I think I'm hopeful that we'll get more. That is my takeaway from that. It's like a rock solid 3.5 star movie, like fun time at the theater, right? I watched it at home. I would have enjoyed it in the theater. Yeah, it's a blast. They should make more of these. They don't cost that much to make, I don't think. Just make films for adults. It's fun. Um, the
Nice.
next one I'm going to jump into, I don't know if you got a chance to see this. This is a new sort of documentary esque film called This Place Rules.
Mm.
It is
No idea what it is. Tell
okay.
me about
So Andrew Callahan is this. He was a teenager who would go and record himself at like Trump rallies, at any place where he would go and sort of just fall into the background,
it.
but be sort of eyes and ears of the internet while he was there. He's a sort of weird, quirky guy who dresses in sort of a tan suit and carries a big old fashioned stick microphone, and has gone and become sort of this like viral sensation for being in and around the weirdest stuff going on in America. And he
Okay.
did this while he was in high school. And then post high school, he bought like a Winnebago and started going and doing this like as his professional career. Like this is what he does now.
This sounds very much like there's a comedian that does this for like the Daily Show or something. I think
Yep.
it sounds a lot like that. And again, also, I think that comedian got caught during the January events. I think
Yes.
he was you know trying to
He was.
do some comedy, and all of a sudden got part of that tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andrew, the premise for this movie is that he had been out there in the world leading up to January 6th. So
Mm.
he wanted to, they editorialize and tell the story from all the events that he was at about how January 6th came to a head, basically.
Got
And
it.
he gets like real access to people. Like he's on Alex Jones's show. He actually goes and spends time with Alex Jones. They like work out in his gym. They drink together. Like it's crazy how much connection this kind of awkward guy ends up having with people. He's so nondescript and so like unassuming. I think that people let him in.
Mm.
There are people who are like real like QAnon enthusiasts, and like he gets to come into their house and hang out with them and spend time with their kids, and kids seem to really like him. He like gets along with, he has this ability to sort of just blend into the scenery but also like poignantly question at times. That's the thing that's
Mm.
really amazing is like he gets in tight with Alex Jones and then very pointedly asks him like, don't you think you have some culpability in this? Like, and on his show, like live, which is unbelievable. Like I can't imagine this 20 something year old getting the type of access, but also to have the level of like grit it takes to stand his ground and be a part of all these amazing like insightful moments that seem like they're just going to be silly from the outset.
Mhm.
And I think there's a vulnerability that he brings to the table and an honest questioning. Like he has a very like open, like he's not judging to begin with. He sort of
Mhm.
seems to be taking it all in, and he spends time with the Q family, and then he goes back afterwards when they feel like they've been let down, and he's talking to the kids, and there's this great moment where he's like, so what do you think of all this to his son? And he's like, I think my dad was taken for a ride, and I'm mad at Q for wasting my dad's time. And like it's unbelievably poignant. Like here's this like 11-year-old kid talking about how his father sort of lost time with his family because of how much he was down the rabbit hole. Like I think it's worth watching, and it's also it's worth watching for sort of the comedic component of some of the weird shit he gets involved with. But there's
Mhm.
also a really deep vein of like poignancy and vulnerability that he brings and gets people to be honest with him that I've not seen in a lot of interviews. And it's quirky and fun and wacky, and but like everybody should watch this. It's on HBO Max. It's a short run. It's only like 86 minutes or 83 minutes. But boy, strap in and be ready for wackiness is the way I would put it.
82 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's short. It's fast. You realize very quickly. Like at one point, my wife was like, "This is really more scary than horror movies we watch." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Dude, in the world we live in, like when things, back in the day of 45, comedy got different and like horror got different,
yeah,
like the world was scarier than than fiction. So,
yep." I think the last one we're going to talk about for the main review is Ticket to Paradise. I looked at my wife. We were looking for something to watch, and I was like, "You've wanted to watch this for a while. I make you watch a lot of things. Let's just watch Ticket to Paradise."
yeah,
Again,
I liked it.
a very fine movie.
I
They
mean,
look like they're having a great time. Boy, George
that's
Clooney is charming. Julia Roberts is beautiful and charming. Like it's just charm central across the
yes.
all the people that you meet in Bali. It's is it Bali?
I don't know they go someplace.
I think it's Bali. Everyone they meet is
Ollie.
just charm city. Like the father, the mother, like everybody. It's so unbelievably smiley. That's how I would describe it. Like you want to. George Clooney plays an unlikable douche at times, but like you just keep smiling at him because he's George Clooney and he's got
Yeah.
like the perfect stubble beard and like he's gone
So
completely salt and pepper and like yeah,
yeah, so
it's a fun
so
movie.
anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's a movie where like George Clooney and Julie Roberts were married. They had a child. They got divorced. It is a they hate each other. And their daughter goes on vacation, meets the love of her life, and now is going to stay there and get married. So they have to go to paradise and be there for the wedding. They try to break up the wedding, and you find out more about them, and things happen.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like this. I don't know who approached Julie Roberts and George Clooney about this, but they're like, "Hey, do you want to hang out with one of your really good friends and be in a tropical place and film a movie?" And they were like, "Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it." Yeah, they just feel like they're having a really good time. I am not a huge fan of these like we're divorced and then we're in love again at the end movies.
Yep. Spoilers, dude.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. That's the cliche that we're dealing with here.
Yep.
Um, but again, also like they try to like not do it to a T, so points for that. Um, I think I originally had stayed away from this movie personally because I was like, oh, it's a divorce, not divorced movie.
Yeah.
Um, But then my wife wanted to watch it, and I was like, "Well, I love you, so I'll watch this." And yeah, I mean, the performances are what really do it.
Yeah,
The
I think the big
performances
shout
and
out is Ren, her the best friend of Lily, who is the daughter of the two main actors, Billy Lord, and she's just super fun as this like disaster of a friend who is basically an adopted daughter slash sister of everybody involved, and she's fun every time she shows up. She's got something quirky and fun to say. She's weird. There's nothing more to say about this film, in my opinion, than like, yeah, it's a 3-star. Yeah, it's rom-commy. It's tropey. It's beautiful. Like I just came back from Playa de Carmen, and I'm watching this film, and I'm like, God, that's beautiful. I just saw real life beauty like this, but like I was blown away by how beautiful it looked on my television. It's
yeah,
a love
and
letter to Bali. Like,
George Clooney gets accosted by a dolphin in his wiener area, and it's fine.
I,
So
I don't think we're going to top that. Let's move on to our main review, folks. Let's talk a little bit about M3GAN. John, do you want to give us a quick synopsis of where this movie opens and what this film is about?
hell yeah, I do, because this movie's awesome. Um, so M3GAN is the story about a artificial intelligence android toy that is created by Allison Williams um, for a toy company, and it what happens is, unfortunately, her sister and brother-in-law suffer a fatal car crash. However, they are survived by their daughter Katie. Katie is very depressed and now is put into the in uh, Allison Williams' character Gemma becomes her legal guardian. Allison Williams has no interest in becoming a legal guardian. Um, she's career focused, and that's okay. But children were not in the cards. So in kind of a way, she creates M3GAN to be kind of like a surrogate caregiver for her daughter, for her adopted daughter, but her niece. And things go crazy.
Yep.
The programming goes a little off. M3GAN gets super protective, and then she becomes a little bit more sentient because they always make robots that are supposed to continue to learn, and the internet is a scary place.
It's true.
And I had a lot of fun. Like this movie, I'm sure it gets a lot of comparisons to Chucky, but
Yeah.
I had way more fun watching this than any of the Child's Play movies. I have not seen the new Chucky, where it pretty much is this story. Like there's a new Chucky movie that didn't do very well, where it's pretty much this scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and Chucky is voiced by Mark Hamill. So I kind of am interested in watching that. There's also a Chucky TV show that's out that just got renewed for its second or third season. Kind of curious about that. But really, when it comes down to it, I was more interested in this. I think she is more subtle than the character of Chucky.
Yep.
For the most part, you know, the character of M3GAN is like, I don't know, maybe like a 3-foot ish doll,
Yeah.
tall,
Probably
very
about the size of an 8 or 9-year-old's
yeah,
child.
very pristine. But a lot of times kind of a little deadpan in the face, which almost made all the lines that she was delivering like just like creepy but awesome. And she's got attitude at times when she's not being quote unquote M3GAN, and she's like,
I mean, she's
so,
got some really great lines like "I am AI iconic." Uh,
mm,
she wears a peacoat. I was listening to a bunch of reviews of this film after the fact and listened to a bunch of podcasts. They pointed out one thing that made me laugh. She wears sunglasses.
yes,
She's an android. She does
yeah,
not need sunglasses. She wears them because they're fabulous. She wears a
yeah,
peacoat over this baby doll dress, not because she's cold, because it's fabulous. Like every
Absolutely.
aspect of this movie is just playing on the fact that like she is this little iconic monster of a personality. And it starts off with all the best of intentions, right? Like this is a her aunt Gemma is a sort of artificial intelligence like master. She's created a bunch of toys for this toy company. She was already working on this character, this toy Megan, and then she ends up with her niece in her life, and it turns into the perfect way for her to basically continue doing her job, but also get Katie what she needs. And she
Right.
doesn't understand the implications of like attachment syndrome and all the other problems that this is going to create.
Yeah.
And then she also didn't realize she was creating a little monster named Megan. When you create AI and you say, here's a learning matrix, figure it out on your own, is what there's a great line near the end of the movie where she's just like, I didn't build those parameters into you. And she's just like, you gave me a learning matrix and made me figure it out. Like that's, it's a really funny, like, questioning of like creation, right? Like who's wrong here? Is Megan wrong? Is Gemma wrong? Right. Like, I think there's a lot of those moments where you have Megan holding up a mirror to Gemma's character and showing her like you created this, it's your fault.
Well, I think that
And she does things.
like Allison Williams, the Gemma character, and Megan, there's a dynamic there that's very much like they are a couple
Yes,
trying to co-parent, and one of them is dropping the ball and is not really into being a
right.
parent.
And it's not
Uh,
the android.
yeah, and the other one is the slack, and she's not resentful really. She's just more like, okay, we'll get the hell out of the picture, and then I'll take care of this. Um, I mean, there's a reason why at the box office it only dropped 43%, and that's huge. That means
Yeah,
that people are continuing to go see it, or they're going to see it again.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, and I was reading that either the director or the writer was saying that um, they filmed a lot more deaths and they filmed a lot more like gore. So hopefully we get a director's cut of this to see that stuff. Um, because it's interesting too, because with Chucky, he's like 2 feet tall. So a lot of times you're like, there's no way that he could accomplish the things that he does. So
Yep.
there is a steeper suspension of disbelief that you have to do. But Megan's like, she's like a 3 foot tall young person.
Yeah.
Young people can be evil, and like it's totally believable.
That
Yes,
might be the catch line for the movie. That's pretty
yeah,
awesome.
but like it's totally believable that like she can be a doll, but then be uh, a force to be reckoned with. Because she's more um like a my buddy, or like a kid sister size. If people know what I'm talking about, if you know, you know, is like a Cabbage Patch Kid. I think
Yep.
that's yeah. It's like Cabbage Patch Kid. Don't believe they can hurt me. Like my buddy coming alive and like wielding a knife, totally believable. And that's kind of yeah. And I also thought I haven't gone into too much research to see like how much of this was CGI, how much was animatronics, how much was an actress,
Oh,
uh,
so most of it
in a
was an
mask.
actress. Most of it's an actress.
Right.
It's a little girl who, what's her name? Amy Donald,
Yes.
and I believe that she is a gymnast. So what she ends up doing, like so many of the things that are done in the movie, like the snake, the getting up off the ground,
Mhm.
and from your back, she
Right.
does herself. And
Right.
then when she runs in the forest chasing the kid, and she gets on all fours, the actress who's playing Megan decided to do that. It wasn't in the script.
So
So much
weird.
of what is going on here is choices that are being made by this actress, which is really amazing. They let her really sort of have an impact on the character
Well, also she
in
does
ways.
weird
Oh
dance
yeah,
too.
yeah. The
That's in the
dancing there.
trailer, and it's super weird,
Yep.
but also super great. Um, and it's perfect for the movie. What I was wondering more for like as far as animatronics goes is like the close-ups because like there are times when they have close-ups and Megan's talking and they don't hurt. her lip sync isn't perfect because she's a robot. So a lot of times it's just like open, close,
Yeah.
versus like subtleties of like lip movement. And I'm wondering if they were just like if they just like did that with in post with CG or like
Well, and
animatronics.
the voice of
It's very
Megan
interesting.
was done by another actress named Jenna Davis. So interesting to have like two distinct like characters, people playing two physical the physical component of the android and then the voice of the android. And I honestly like the sort of the fact that it feels a little like out of sync. It makes
Oh,
it feel
totally.
even more creepy, to be honest.
And also, she looks like she was modeled after the actress that plays Katie, Violet McGraw. Uh, like if you look closely at both of them, you just like if you took Violet McGraw, like made her a little more tan, gave her blonde hair, and like overdid her eyeballs, like
Yeah.
it's a thing, and like that makes a lot of sense that like uh Gemma, you know, Katie's aunt would, you know, model her after her. It's interesting that like, like Katie is almost looking into a mirror with Megan. It's like almost like, I wish I was Megan
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, it's just interesting. And also on top of all of this like craziness that we're watching, it's a story about how to cope with grief because like this all begins because we're trying to figure out ways to grieve or avoid grieving for uh, Katie's parents who are no longer with us,
Yep.
and like Gemma's sister and brother-in-law who are no longer with us. So I don't know.
So
I
this
mean,
this
great
you
story.
you mentioned like Chucky, you mentioned this is not like a new story, but I think one thing that this script did that is very smart is they didn't put in a love interest for Gemma that didn't believe what was going on. We didn't
Mm,
waste 20 minutes of Gemma having to convince someone else that Megan has gone crazy, right? Like if you think about traditional horror movies,
sure.
there would be a love interest that is
It'd be a
like
white knight.
you're
Yeah.
projecting on this, right? Like,
Sure.
there's no way she's crazy. It's a robot, right? Like, so they leaned out the script by not having her have a significant other, and I think that was really smart. Like, they let that role be played by the other people who created the robot with her, and they had enough skepticism that they could question slightly, and then she had data to back it up. So
Hmm.
it didn't. We didn't waste 20 minutes of the movie trying to convince someone of all the things we just saw, right? And I
Right.
think there's something about script writing here that we could take away from, which is like it's a lot of show don't tell, right? We don't waste a lot of time talking about what Megan does. We watch Megan do it, and then the characters don't spend a lot of time explaining what Megan's doing, right? The cops questioning about the dog and about the woman and about like we don't spend a lot of time in questioning. There's like
Hmm.
short scenes with like the detective coming to the house and he laughs about something. He's like, I shouldn't laugh about that. There's like clever uses of external characters also. It's not like we're going to spend 20 minutes in this interview conversation about something we just saw that took 3 minutes. Like they don't waste a lot of time in the script. And that's fine. Like we're not talking about making a documentary here. We're talking about making a fun, like dark comedic horror film. So like
Uh-huh.
they just move us through the story in a really effective way.
Yes. Yeah. Um, in a way, it's like there's less gaslighting in it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like in older horror movies, like there's like a lot of gaslighting the main character, like you're crazy, blah blah blah. And this is just
Yeah.
like a little less of that.
Well,
I
and the
have to
last one is like you talked about, about how the film was made and all these things. The film only cost $12 million, right? Like its budget was only $12 million, and it opened to 30.
yeah,
It was profitable opening weekend. It's now
yeah.
made $94 million. Like this is yet another one of those moments where Blumhouse wins. Like
Well,
they
yeah, when you get James Wan back, right?
yeah
James Wan, when you get him back, like this is the guy that did the Saw series, I believe, right?
yeah.
Uh,
He also has the production company Atomic Monster now.
Yeah. So like, but he's
So
like the guy behind Saw, Insidious,
yeah,
The Conjuring. He also did Furious 7. Like, this is the guy that, you know,
yeah.
if I'm gonna put stock in, he's one of the guys I would put stock in.
Yeah, I think Jason Blum like really chose correctly by backing Juan, right? Like
Yeah.
we're going to print money making these movies.
I will say though, I have one bone to pick with this movie.
Uh-oh.
The the detective that comes to interview her,
Yes.
not the first, not the cop, not like the officer who's like, "Hey,
The one
the
who
lady
keeps like
next door,"
making, yeah.
the guy who's like, not the guy who's like, "The lady next door thinks you killed her
Yeah.
dog." Not that guy. That guy was fine, and
He was fine.
except
Yeah.
like he let the crazy lady approach the house and like bang on the window, be like, "I know it was you," and then he's like, "Hey, hey, hey, get out of here."
Well, I just feel like he's like, there's no way this old lady's gonna come up here and like it just felt very silly. Like a cop might
Yeah,
let that happen because you're like, come on, there's no way. Like,
no,
and then he
and
turns around, he's like, what are you doing? Like,
I'm like, yeah, and it's like that was like totally fine. I was like
yeah,
totally fine with that. I'm just kind of like making it funny. But oh my god, the detective who tries to interview her, if he could chomp his gum any bigger, I was like,
I mean,
what movie are you in, dude?
Millen Baird is the guy who plays that detective.
I was like, what the hell? He's literally like, so anyway, I was like, what? Who is this guy? What movie are you in? That's my one beef.
I get it.
Also, I mean, I want sequels to this. I want
Oh, the
multiple
sequel's
sequels.
already been greenlit. They're already working on it. It's coming.
So here's the thing.
The way it ends is really great.
Well, yes, but
The setting the table for the sequel is unbelievable.
but also, um, first and foremost, Allison Williams' character needs to go to jail
Yes.
for so many reasons. So I hope it starts with her like coming out of jail or being in jail because I'm like, girl, you gotta go.
I think the
Like,
second movie should be called Megan's, and it should
mm,
be that there is a Megan that is it's T2 that you
right,
get Megan back
and then a
in the
bad
Megan
one.
body and a bad one. Yeah,
I'm down, but also yeah, but like
I think it works, right? Like you totally just
yeah,
steal the Terminator franchise model, and yeah,
but also would be interesting and a little spoiler, but like you don't watch this movie to like there could be tons of spoilers and you could still have a great time watching this
yeah,
movie. Um, but at the end, you know, Megan gets her comeuppance,
yeah.
and yet we think, but then we are informed that her consciousness may be still out there. Why would she? What is the reason why Megan would recreate a young female girl body, which she could be whatever she wants? That's the question I want answered. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's why I think there's two, and I think one is the original model that Gemma recreates to protect Katie. And I think if I'm writing the script, then the other one can be anything. I think it's a full fledged woman. Uh, yeah.
Or is this like, are we gonna get? Yeah, like, are we gonna get like a bootleg Megan?
Remember the files were stolen.
The files for Megan are stolen from the toy company and
Yep.
given to the rival toy company. So, in theory, someone else could bootleg her.
Yeah.
Also, there are supposed to be 3 models of Megan, not
Oh,
just like the blonde Caucasian one, but like, just like Barbie, they kind of diversify them.
yeah.
S Maybe it needs to be, I mean, if you're gonna do a sequel, on theme 2 is like the way to go, I guess. But like there are 3 models. Is it too soon? Like, do you wait for the 3rd one? Like you just add a Megan every uh every sequel. And also they blew their load in this one because like so in this when you type in Megan, you have to put M3GAN.
Yes.
It's the first movie. Like what are you gonna
I'm telling you, I think what I would do is I would do Megan's for the second one, and the third one I would probably do like Megan Part 3. I would literally just call it Part 3,
Mhm,
or Megan 3, where the S flips the other direction in the advertising.
mhm.
Right? I think you could really play a lot. I think this is going to be silly. We're going to have a lot of this. I think we've just seen the creation of a new horror icon. I think she will be around a long time.
Oh my god, Halloween this year?
Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, you could do it. You could do I don't know for some reason like you could do a movie called Mother Megan.
Whoa.
I don't
We
know.
bring back Gemma and it kills her, like, and makes a robot that looks
Or
like
she
Gemma.
assimilates Gemma and Gemma becomes a cyborg.
Now that we've gone from a conversation podcast to where we're spec scripting, knock it off, Jason. Don't steal our ideas.
Yeah, cuz they're here. Well, I mean just credit us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a couple points. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Especially with a movie like this, a franchise that's in the making here.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was on board with this one from the get go. Unlike some of the other creepy doll movies, like what's the other Bloomhouse creepy doll movie? There's two of them, I think, right?
Uh, isn't there one that is? Yes, the Conjuring universe has one, right? Isn't it Annabelle?
Yeah. So there's Annabelle, and she's kind of based off of like actual creepy real life doll, maybe I don't know. And then there's a boy version too.
I know nothing of that. I mean, I'm a wimp when it comes to horror. You know that. So the fact that I was like super on board to see this, and it should have been a John's fault situation, but I just kept giggling. It's so much fun, and that's the best takeaway. Like, see this in a theater. Hopefully, see it like as much as it's pandemic-y. See it in the most crowded theater with so many teenagers and wear a mask. Like, I wanted that energy. I ended up in a theater that had like probably 10, 12 people, but it wasn't the right audience. I really wish I could have seen it with like a bunch of middle schoolers. Like, this is the kind of film that would have been like raucous and silly. As much fun as
As
I
long
had,
as they're 13, because it's PG-13.
they can be there with their parents.
Fair enough. If they can
Um,
see Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, they can see this.
oh yeah. Yeah, overall I would say a blast. I'm glad we watched it. We're still not sure what we're doing next week. We probably I think we've discussed a little bit. I think we were going to go a much more serious route. We are probably going to talk
Wait,
about
wait,
women
wait.
talking.
I remembered one more thing about this movie.
Uh-huh.
I legit got teary-eyed during this movie
Really?
because there's a moment in this movie where Katie is introduced to Megan for the first time,
Oh yeah.
and they capture the essence of a kid getting a new toy so well, and that awe and wonder and amazement so well that it sent me back to, I mean, I don't remember, like I couldn't pinpoint a toy, but that feeling I got when I got something that was just so, you never thought you were going to get it, or you're just so excited that it's finally like in your hands and it's like a physical thing. They captured it so well. And that's not like it wasn't cynical, it wasn't like horror movie based, or it was like a genuine moment within this movie of like childlike wonder, and I thought it was freaking great. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I got that out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is what makes this movie work. Is there's this like balancing act of like silly and also like poignant and also over the top, right? Like, it's a
Mhm.
blast. It's like going back to Ratatouille, right? The moment where he eats Ratatouille and he's brought back to his childhood, right? Like, you had that moment where like, phew, like we jumped into the past John's life. It's powerful to pull off in a silly dark comedy, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's cool that they were able to pull that off.
Yeah, go see it, guys.
Yeah.
Make sure,
I think we're
give
going
it
to
a
get more of them. So get ready for lots of Megan.
yay.
So next
Yeah.
week, I
So
think we're going to discuss women talking. I think I'm still not sure why they decided to roll it out the way they did, but that does not mean that you shouldn't see it. It goes wide, I think, this Friday. So we're going to spend some time revisiting a film that I saw at Middleburg, and John and I are going to spend a little time really digging into why that film is what it is, and I think it's cultural touch point, and why it should be more talked about. I think the subject matter is tough. I think the way it's shot is unique and beautiful. But I'm really interested to talk it out and talk about why I think more people should see that film.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. And we look forward to talking to you next week. See you, folks.
Adios.
This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.